Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be profiling a Therion Horus deck profile. Just continuing in my kind of walkthrough of the different Horus builds that you can play. Obviously Therion is a deck that loves having cards in the graveyard, or revolving around like level 8s as well. So there's a lot of rank 8 synergy as well. And yeah, everything kind of loves to be in the graveyard. So Therion Horus is kind of like a natural fit. And I'm going to get straight into it and kind of show you what I'm working with. So it's a 40 card deck. We've got 2 Lily Borea, 2 Regulus, 1 Alasia, 1 Bull, and 1 Reaper. We're trying to minimize the cards that do nothing. So the Therions, for example, the monsters themselves in the hand by themselves do nothing, but we would rather max out on cards like Engine. Not actually maxing on the Disc Coliseum, though you could very easily just play the third and call it 41. So I've just gone 2 on a terraforming, because again, like the Disc Coliseum, again, on its own, it actually doesn't do anything either. So you still need to see it with another card. And the last thing we're playing for the Therions is the Therion Cross. This is kind of the main thing we're setting, getting off the Lily Borea, and it's just another good disruption because we can set up plenty of field disruptions, but this is just a really good monster disruption, sorry, but Cross makes for a great disruption in the back row. The Horus engine, we're kind of playing the biggest Horus package we can, which is 3 Imseti, 1 of each of the others, as well as 3 King's Sarcophagus. Seeing King's Sarcophagus or Imseti is great. Obviously Imseti is better, but our whole deck will happily sit in the graveyard. So drawing the King's Sarcophagus is fine. Similar logic to if you've watched my previous Orcust build as well, it's the same logic. We want everything in the graveyard, so we'll max out on the Horus cards. And then to go alongside that, we've got the 2 Vision and the Crimson. Vision doesn't really have much application outside of Imseti exactly, but I mean, you can normal summon Vision and use it with any other 8, which the deck is full of, to obviously make things like Baron. That is the Horus side of things. And then our kind of primary normal summon, because the deck doesn't really need it, is we're just testing Gen and Ken. I personally love Gen and Ken. I've gone max on Thrust and the Talents, whether or not that is correct, because this is where like the deck doesn't really have heaps of non-engine space. Thrust, Talents, Droplet, as far as non-engine, and I've got 1 Harpy's main decked just as the, like, it's obviously searchable off Thrust as well, so that's 40 cards. We have space for 10 non-engine. In a world where you didn't play Gen and Ken as the normal summon, you could maybe play like the 3rd Vision Resonator just as a normal summon, and even like a 2nd Crimson Gaia, just so you can kind of see this. Like this as a normal summon is fine, though again, as a normal summon, it does nothing by itself. You need to see it with the Therions. The Gen and Ken though, obviously this is going to bait out disruptions because no one wants the Ken on the field to like block imperms and things like that. And then you draw 2, discard 1, and the discard 1 can be really nice to kind of unlock your kind of bad hands, because there's a lot of cards in the deck that we don't want to see. And yeah, being able to discard them is very useful. The extra deck is 1 Sargus, 1 Zombie Vampire, 1 Coach King Giant Trainer. We've got a Hope Harbinger, a Dragluvion with Numeron Dragon, got Dingisu with Spider and Zeus, just as like a nice little Zeus package. Playing the 1 Typhon, 1 Baron just for the synchro plays, and then for the links, 1 Goddess, Unicorn, SP Little Knight with the IP as well. So the links just more of we will happily end on like IP and SP. That way we've got Unicorn or Goddess to tag into, or at the very minimum, like if we don't make the SP and just have IP, there's obviously a lot of options we can tag into, but that's kind of how I've built the links on, like chosen the links on that side of things as well. But I'll get into some test hands and just kind of show you what the deck is aiming to achieve. Okay, so I'll do a couple of test hands just to highlight what the deck is capable of doing. We are looking to, establish some kind of, rank 8, Regulus, Therion double cross, the Therion trap would be great, and like Disc Coliseum on field just for that battle protection would be solid. So we've got Feather Duster, Disc Coliseum, Gen, Thrust, and Imseti. I mean, doesn't really get much better than that. That's a pretty solid start. Now, obviously, we're not really going to be able to play around Droll all that well. There's no use starting with a Disc Coliseum because it does nothing by itself. So it would be a combination of just Gen or Imseti. We'll probably go Gen just because we get to kind of we'll go for the draw of the two. Draw two. So we'll go Gen first. Imseti is probably the correct call just because it does give you the rank 8, so it doesn't immediately give you something, but that's okay. We're not getting interrupted today. So we'll get the Ken. We will draw 2 cards and discard a card. Now, obviously, we've got double ups now, which is not ideal. So we can just get rid of one of the Gens. We've obviously got Thrust as another discard later down the line for the Horus stuff, as well as the Harpies, which doesn't need to be sitting in our hand. The other thing we could just do is go for Thrust. Between Disc Coliseum and the Thrust, we could get the Endless Engine to hand, which means with this plus Disc Coliseum will get us an interruption, right? It gets us the Borea and Regulus online, which is probably something we might actually just go for now. So we'll go for Disc Coliseum. We'll use its effect to grab out the Regulus. This is the order I prefer to do it. I'd rather have the Regulus sit on the field, and then we can Thrust. Now, obviously, Thrust can grab talents, but in this case, we're going to go for Endless Engine, just to establish a negate really early before we go for the Horus play. So now we can Endless Engine. We're able to throw down the Lilyborea, and we can Regulus for Lilyborea. This is also really good because then the Lily will be not worrying about getting Disc Coliseum. We can grab the trap with Lilyborea there. So we can leave that. We don't really need to do this at any. We can do this at any point. So that can just sit there. And then obviously having Endless Engine engraved is awesome for the trap because it becomes a negate and banish. But now we will go for Imseti. And again, we know that the Duster and the Thrust are just kind of dead cards. They're both probably going to end up in the graveyard throughout this turn here, but we'll grab out the King Sarcophagus. We'll get a draw. There's the third Gen. Okay, we've got them all out of the deck. That is good. So we've got all 3 Gen in the Ken out of the deck. We don't need them anymore. We can fire the King Sarcophagus, and now what we're trying to, I guess, maybe get to is the Vision Resonator. Would be nice to kind of see. So there's a potential like zombie vampire that we could go for there. That being said, like if to get to zombie vampire, we kind of want to save the Imseti. So what we can do is we'll go King Sarcophagus. So we'll use it both times. Let's get the Duamatef and the Happy out of the deck. But what we might actually do is make the Sargus first. So we'll bring back Duamatef and Happy. We could go for Sargus first, using its effect to grab the Alacia. I realize though that we have no cards in hand, so that's actually probably not the play. Having a card in hand obviously is needed for the Alacia to discard and bring back like the Lilyborea to the hand. The only other way we get a card to hand is obviously with Borea at the moment, so potentially we don't go Sargus. I mean, it's fine because we have the Imseti, right? And so we could bring back the Imseti and the Alacia. That gets like zombie vampire, and I'm trying to see if we can get to more kind of bodies on the field. The other play is just go for Coach King with all 3 of the Horus monsters, which draws us 3. Which I think that's what we will do. We will actually go for Coach King. So we'll go Coach King. The Imseti, obviously we lose that play now, but that's okay because drawing 3 is pretty crazy. So we will be detaching all 3 of the materials. Oh, I didn't shuffle the Alasia back. I should probably do that. So we'll get our draw 3, there's an Imseti, so that would burn. Obviously King Suck is good for follow-up as well. And a Talents, hey, we take that. So here, obviously we could choose to look at our opponent's hand, just for the sake of kind of showing the interactions between the cards. We'll Talents to draw 2. But we could definitely look at our opponent's hand there and just get the full knowledge of kind of what they've got going on as well. Obviously we've seen no vision resonator now at this point. We don't really have any more access into our rank 8s, short of obviously like using the Regulus. We could still get the Kepesenuef into rotation by using our King Sarcophagus again, but we don't really benefit from that at this point. So we'll send the Borea away for its effect. I mean, we don't even have to send the Borea. We could obviously send any other card from our hand, but having this is our hand here is actually pretty solid. Like we can hang on to those for follow-up is really nice. So we will send the Borea. We will get the Therion Cross. And then it could just be as simple as set Droplet, make SP Little Knight, banish Ken, just so our opponent doesn't have access to that anymore. Set Therion Cross, and then we hang on to the Disc Colosseum, the King Suck, and the Imseti, because that's going to give us some really great follow-up. So only the single negate, but between the Droplet, the Therion Cross, the SP, the battle protection from the Disc Colosseum as well, plus the fact that Disc Colosseum is going to recur resources, so we could certainly, recur back the Lily Borea if a monster was destroyed by battle. We can send another Therion from Beck to Grave to protect. So we're sitting pretty pretty with what we've got here. Obviously the Sarcophagus is great, another one in hand. Instead he can still draw us a card because we play 3 Sarcophagus, so yeah, that's going to be the first test hand. We'll see if we can kind of power through a couple more. Yeah, I'll try and kind of speed through the next couple. But as you could see, there are plenty of decisions to be made. And we're just trying to kind of find the best board to give us plenty of follow-up, but also set up enough that we're not going to be just OTK'd. Yeah. So for our second test hand, we have Endless Engine, the Bull, Therion Cross, Empress Alasia, and Borea. So 5 Therion cards. Not exactly what you want to see, but that's okay. The first and only action we have is Endless Engine, so obviously if that gets interrupted then we just lose the game, but we know that it won't. So we will send down the Regulus because it's the only real good one that we don't have access to at this point, and we can already Borea to get out the last name being the Reaper. So from here we can Borea for Regulus. We can Borea. Now we've got the Alasia is really nice here, but we might want to. We kind of want to keep the negate live, so we could get rid of the Bull with the Lily Borea to grab Disc Colosseum. Playing 1 copy of Therion Charge could also be like an option in the deck building, because again, you see a hand like this and having the charge would be awesome to get started, but we're not playing the highest number of Therion, so it's not necessarily the most important thing. We're free to fire off Disc Colosseum. We're always grabbing Reaper at this point. And now what we kind of want to do is we just want to really get to our other engines would be really good. So we're going to go for the Empress. We're going to equip the Bull. And then we're going to use the Empress. We're going to discard the Reaper. We're going to summon out Regulus. And then we can overlay our 2 level 8s. We'll obviously keep the Regulus because the negation is nice. And I think, yeah, going for the zombie vampire is going to have to be it. Yeah, obviously it just has to be it. Cross is great. Obviously we've got the cross now live, which is great. We can use the vampire. Borea Engrave is nice. If we can, we'll see how we go with the mills here, but we will mill 4. And that's not fantastic. Obviously we get to summon one of them out, which is a nice start, but we don't get to get the King Sarcophagus out, which is a shame. So we will simply summon out the Imseti. The rest will go to graveyard, and this is going to kind of be as far as we can go. The only way we would go further is by using Imseti and Regulus to overlay for... No, but there's nothing the Sagas can even search that's worthwhile. Yeah, it's just going to be as simple as Imseti and the zombie vampire into the Little Knight. Set the cross. So we've still got a few disruptions. I mean, it cost us the whole hand though. But the Therions on themselves, by themselves, aren't the strongest portion of the deck, right? They kind of need the rest of the engines to make them work that little bit better. All right, we'll do one last test hand and we'll call it a day. Unless, of course, it's a dud, which the deck can certainly give us. So we've got Vision Resonator, Terraforming, Disc Colosseum, that's a shame, Thrust, and Lily Borea. So this hand is not good at all. It will not do anything for us because really the Disc Colosseum can't search us anything that will make the hand work. So, you know, we can Disc Colosseum. There's nothing we can grab. I would love to see I kind of feel like the Therion deck is very similar to like Generator in kind of the way it's designed. I would love to see a level 4 one that can, like, similar to the level 4 Generator that can like tribute and like lone fire out the Therion. That seems kind of cool. Or tribute and add one to hand, then you can use it to equip the one that you sent. But anyway, not the point. The point is that in this position here, we cannot do anything. There's nothing we can do with vision. We can't summon any of the monsters, so that's obviously going to be a dud hand. So we'll do another one. In the previous hand, that wasn't the dud hand. Zombie Vampire into Gen always kind of feels pretty nice. Okay, so we can definitely make this work. We just have to kind of think about the best kind of way to do it. Now, we're always going to be going for Terraforming to grab the Disc Colosseum. And then the decision that has to be made is that because we have the King Sark and not the Imseti, like we can use Disc Colosseum and the Endless Engine as a pair to set up, again, the Regulus and Borea, but we then, with Sarcophagus, only have 2 to discard. So we're probably going for Zombie Vampire. I would love to go to Coach King Giant Trainer at that point. But we'll play it out. I think we'll set up the negate first. So we'll go for the Disc Colosseum. We'll obviously use the engine as well. We'll do it the same way. So we're adding Regulus with the field spell. And we will send the Borea with the Endless Engine. And of course, that means that Borea can get us the trap later on, which is always nice. So we'll go Regulus, equip the Borea. The other, obviously, option we have would be to get rid of the Borea, to search the trap, but then King Sark it away for to be able to get to Coach King. So we'll go King Sarcophagus. We'll obviously have to pitch the Droplet and the Talents, which doesn't feel good, but for the hand to actually do anything, that's the necessary thing. So it'll be Imseti and Happy. And And then now we have to just decide whether or not we're going to lose the trap in order to kind of get to Coach King, because I think Coach King certainly would make the deck go further. But look, let's save the trap as a guaranteed interruption. Let's turn these into Zombie Vampire and hope for a again. That would be really nice. So we'll use the Zombie Vampire. Going to hit another Endless Engine, a King Sarcophagus, a Thrust, and Ken. Okay, well, it's obviously not again, but it's at least a monster to turn Zombie Vampire into the SP Little Knight, and we can use Ken to give our opponent Gen. They discard a card, which we won't complain about. We will get rid of the Borea to grab the trap. Probably should have done it before we milled with Zombie Vampire, just to, you know, not run the risk of losing our guaranteed interruption. But then we can just go straight to SP Little Knight. We can get rid of the Gen, and yeah, we're gonna have to call it there. So again, it's a similar board to one we saw earlier. We've got the negate, we've got the interruption with SP, we've got the negate and banish, which is always really solid for the Therion Cross. We've got the follow-up with Sarcophagus plus the follow-up with the Disc Colosseum. And then going into the next turn, like we do have Endless Engine Engrave, so we can, you know, target itself and one of the Therions to, or any Therion card really. So if the Disc Colosseum gets outed, we can get that back as well. One goes to hand, one goes to the one of the deck. And that's, so there's follow-up here, there's heaps of follow-up. Again, it's just a matter of, can we survive with the 3 interruptions plus like the battle protection? And that does kind of go a long way. Especially when they're trying to like play around SP Little Knight is good. But that'll be it for this one. It's a good deck. I'm still trying to, still working out the best kind of place for the Horus cards as far as, you know, the least amount of bricks and whatnot, because, but I'm still trying to find, like, I want the Horus cards to kind of be like a focus. So in like the Runic deck that I posted a little while ago, it was really solid, but the ability, like the lack of non-engine is really tough. But that's going to be it for this deck. Definitely give it a go if you like Therions. I am a huge Therion fan, and the deck is cool. But yeah, test it for yourself and see how you find it. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one.